Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Naomi, and today I want to share 3 of my absolute favorite exercises to do when I am experiencing period pain, which in fact I am today. I am filming this on the first day of my cycle, and my low back is feeling a little bit cranky. I'm feeling a little bit of sensitivity in the front of my belly, and just exhaustion overall, which are all really, really normal things when you are on the first or second or third or fourth day of your cycle, depending on how your hormones fluctuate. Now, I do want to say before we get started that this is not a magic fix, and I don't want you to think that it is. That would be irresponsible of me to say. What these exercises do and can give you are relief, right? Relief, whether it's relief for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, they can give you relief, which is something that I think we can all appreciate even in brief moments, because sometimes even when you are feeling discomfort, you still want to move your body because you know that moving feels good. And if you know that moving doesn't feel good, then skip this video. It's not for you. But if moving your body typically does feel good, even when you're experiencing some period pain or discomfort, then I highly encourage you to stick around. Let's jump right into it, and I'll see you on the other side. So for what we're going to be doing today, I recommend having a chair or a table or a wall. I'm using a chair mostly because I don't have a table in this room, but a kitchen table works really well. A countertop works really well. So you don't have to go with a chair, particularly because sometimes chairs feel a little bit low. But if you only have a chair, don't worry. I will show you how to work with a slightly higher height if you need it. Now, other than that, you shouldn't really need any props at all. Okay. However, go grab what you need, chair, wall, table, or bring your phone with you so that you can do this there. And let's get started with our very first exercise to give you a little bit of low back and belly, uterus area relief, okay? So you're gonna start with the chair, and all this really is, I'm gonna grab my chair and just put it on my mat because that's gonna make it a little bit less slippery, okay? And I have this block on just to give me a little bit more height just in case, okay? Now I'm gonna place my hands on the seat of the chair, bend my knees, and shift my hips back. So there's a pretty significant pull in my shoulders and my upper back because I'm holding onto the chair. But you can let your head go. So I'm just shaking it to help it let go and release. And you do want to make sure that you bend your knees and just get a really good stretch through your low back, which is what we're after. Like I said, as you're doing this, if you're using a chair like I am, you might find that it's just a little bit too low. Like it's just a lot of work. You're basically in a squat, and you might not want to squat that deeply, okay? So you can turn your chair around and work with the top of the chair instead. And again, because this is higher and because the chair has a tendency to rock back, you could always put a weight on it if you have weights, if you're worried that you're going to pull it, or just don't pull it, okay? But here, I don't have to bend my knees quite so deeply, but I still want to bend them. And the reason that you want to bend them is that bending them allows you to stretch through your spine with a little bit more ease. When your legs are straight, right, you're going to stretch through the middle of your back, which is not a bad thing. It's just not going to give you the relief in your lower and upper lower back that you really want, okay? So knees are slightly bent so I can push my hips back without unbending my knees. So I'm not pushing my hips back and straightening, pushing my hips back and stretching, okay? And my touch is pretty light on the top of the chair, so I'm not pulling it toward me, okay? In fact, I'm sort of pushing it away. So you can see, like if I was really pushing, I would lift it off of the ground because it's pretty light. But I'm just trying to get an even stretch through my spine. So instead of pulling, I'm giving a little bit of resistance forward. Again, this is going to be a bit of a stretch for your neck and your shoulders too. So that's why you just shake out your head and let go. And then you can lift yourself back up. And like I said, you can do this also on a kitchen table, kitchen countertops, or at a wall, placing your hands to the wall. It's really all the same thing, just with a different prop, okay? Now I'm gonna get the chair out of the way, okay? Set it over to the side because we no longer need it. The second exercise that we're gonna do to relieve some of that period pain, crankiness in your low back, right? So up in through this corridor right here, and sometimes the front of your body in the same area are side body stretches. Okay, one of them we're going to do standing and the other ones are on the ground. Okay, so you can step onto your left leg, step your right leg behind your left hand is on your left thigh. You can reach your right arm alongside your ear. Now that's a pretty significant stretch in through the right side of your low back here. And if that feels like too much, you could just drop your right hand on top of your left hand and do just a little rotation. So I'm going to turn my body so you can see what I mean. I know I'm blending in a little bit to my walls here. Hopefully you can see. So instead of being here, which is a much bigger stretch, I can place my right hand on my left hand and just do a slight rotation as though I'm looking back toward my left foot. Okay, and then of course you want to do the other side. So step onto your right leg, left leg behind right, right hand on right thigh, and left arm alongside the ear. Super wonderful. I love this. This feels great for me. But if it feels like too much for you, left hand goes down on top of right hand, and you just do a little bit of rotation. And keep in mind, it might look like my left foot is really far back behind my right. You can scoot it in. It doesn't have to be quite so far. And you can still get that really good rotation in through the left side of your low back, right? And that length, which is what you're after. Now, if you're able to get down on the floor on your hands and knees, an alternative way to do that exact same stretch is to come down onto your hands and knees. I'm going to grab a blanket for my knees because my knees are divas and they like a little bit more support. Okay, so if yours do too, please make sure that you have a blanket for your knees. And if this isn't for you, if getting down onto your hands and knees doesn't feel good, you can simply, right now while I'm teaching this, do the same thing that we just did standing, once on each side, or you can just fast forward through, okay? But here, my hands are on the floor. I can be on my palms, pressing through my fingertips, or up on my fingertips, right? So that I've tented my hands. And then left leg goes back, and you can cross your left leg behind your right leg. See, it's the same thing. And stretch. So if you can get down to your hands and knees, sometimes this feels better because maybe you're already there. Maybe you don't actually want to get up off of the floor, right? Your body is just saying, no, I don't feel great. So if you're already here, right, this is a good place to be. Sometimes cat-cow can feel really good. It's not always what I go to when I'm experiencing any sort of period cramping or period pain. But some people find, right, this cat-cow action feels really good. So if that's one that you tend to go to create just a little bit more length and movement through your spine, then certainly after you do that, coming and doing this on your knees is another great thing to do. So again, second side, right leg would go back. And then right leg goes behind left, and all you have to do is look over your left shoulder. You could also walk your right fingertips a little bit further forward. That's the same thing, right, as having your arm alongside your ear. Oh. And then you can come on back to center. And then the last thing that we're going to do is supine. It's on your back. Okay, so you can come onto your back. And again, if coming onto your back doesn't feel great, you can repeat the very first thing that we did at the chair or at the wall, bending your knees, shifting your hips back, right? That's another really wonderful option if getting all the way down into your back doesn't feel great. Now, if you can get onto your back and it does feel good, and by good, I mean, obviously, if you're experiencing any period pain, like good isn't necessarily a word that you're feeling. I just mean about being on the floor. You can, let's see, cross right ankle over left knee. Okay, so you have a figure four situation going on here, okay? And then all you're going to do is lower your knees over to the right. Okay, so as your knees go to the right, you'll get like a little bit of a stretch through the front of your left belly and your low back. Now, if this feels like too much, you can separate your knees and your feet. So instead of having your right foot on top of your left thigh, you can put your foot on the floor. And that can actually, give you a little bit more space to lengthen your left thigh down. So really, you can play with that a little bit. For me here, I don't really do anything with my arms because I'm very, very happy to just be like this. Okay, and then bring your knees back up and switch feet. So left ankle would go on top of right thigh if that variation felt good for you. And you can lower your knees over to the left. Okay, and again, you can separate your feet and your knees if that feels better. And on any given day, it's going to feel different, right? So I happened to be on the very first day of my period today. And when I did this earlier with my ankle on top of my thigh, oh, it felt so good. And now actually it feels better to have my knees separate. And this is just a few hours apart. So just know that, as as your body fluctuates, as your hormones fluctuate, as everything shifts, your body is going to want different things. Okay, so just notice what feels good, notice what doesn't, and listen to your body. Okay, then bring your knees back up. And just the last thing that sometimes feels good is to take your knees apart, not together, apart, and pull your knees towards your chest. Now, the reason that you want to go apart is that it gives you a little bit more hip mobility and you're also not crushing your stomach, right? So when you bring your knees apart, that's gonna just flatten your low back a little bit to the floor, and you can do like a little bit of a rock forward and back, a little bit of a rock side to side, but you're not super tucked in, which can feel a little bit tighter on your body. At least it feels tighter on mine. Okay, so I'm just gonna show from the back what I mean, right? So instead of having your knees tucked in over your belly, you pull your knees wide. If you can't get your hands onto your shins, it might be holding onto the backs of your thighs and pulling in so that your knees bend over your forearms. And again, you can do that rocking side to side, forward and back, just to massage your low back and to create a little bit of movement for your hips. And then when you're all done, you can roll to your side, sit up, and then repeat which of those exercises felt best in your body when you are experiencing a flare of period pain, and to give yourself a little bit of relief. Thank you so much for joining me today on the mat. I hope that these 3 exercises gave you a little bit of relief, even if it was just for the time that we were moving, so that it could show you how you can take care of yourself when you're not watching this video and when you need more relief, because very likely that will happen. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't expect these exercises to cure you of all period pain, certainly not if you experience severe pain, depending on what you have going on with your cycle. So please, please, please get the support that you need, whether it is a hot water bottle, whether it's a nap, whether it's like serious prescription drugs to help support the pain that you experience on your cycle. But if you can get a little bit of relief from these movements, I am really glad that you did, and I'm really glad that you're here. And as always, thank you for choosing to move your body with me. It's really a privilege to be able to share this with you, and I look forward to seeing you back on the mat again really soon when you're feeling up for perhaps more dynamic and challenging movement. Until then, bye.